Welcome everyone. Post-lunch sessions are always tricky. So I hope everyone is active. If not, um, what I'll do is, so the collective experience of this panel is above 120 years, so to say. So it'll be an interesting conversation. What makes this panel particularly exciting is the range of perspectives in the room. So we have leaders from automobile, we have leaders from healthcare, from communications, brand reputation. So it'll be a good one. Uh, the topic today revolves around deepfakes. In the age of AI, deepfake may be one broad threat, but the impact is very different across sectors, from customer confidence and patient trust to technology credibility. So we'll be discussing all of that. So I'll start with the very first question, which is uh, the first star, right? A crisis hits. Subah uthe, or you see a crisis has hit. There's misinformation, there is disinformation, there's also deep fake circulating, right? तो पहले घंटे में क्या करना चाहिए, right? So what you got to do? So I'll start with Ajay first. Ajay, what do you think needs to happen in the very first hour? What is the team like? What is the process like?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, crisis is never in the morning, especially for healthcare. So it can be any time of the day or maybe at night also, because the kind of patients what we are treating is 24 into 7. So it's not a sector where we can relax or take a break or something. So the most important is like depending on the time of the crisis, definitely. So ensure that you have to verify. First is to verify, not to respond. Most important is verify if it is genuine or it is a genuine problem or if it's a fake item. So you have to ensure, because healthcare you're touching lives. So it becomes more and more sensitive because we see a lot of fake deep fakes coming for them from doctor commenting on something which is not viable or maybe not clinically correct. So we have seen our heart specialists like Ashok said or some different doctors talking about some Ayurveda ilaj to treat cardiac care. So they have been, their voice has been modulated, these kind of things. So I think it's important to verify first, evaluate what kind of impact it is having on an audience or maybe on your patient. What is, if it's from the leadership perspective, what is the impact on the organization as a whole? Otherwise, always, maybe it's impacting the employees as a complete employee base. Maybe something which is not happen that you're going to be laid off, or some like 1,000 employees, 40 is planning to take away, and maybe the MD is giving a talk on that. So most important is to verify first, ensure that what kind of impact, what kind of information, then initially decide on it, and we have a robust procedure for Fortis, where we have a team of like legal is involved, the CEO, depending on the kind of crisis what we have, and then verify everything, and then we take out the response, and accordingly we take it forward.
Sure, sure. Okay, are we audible? Are we loud enough? I'm sure we are, right? Okay, all right. I'll come to you, Ruchika, now. Uh, yeah. So, in your sector specifically, right, if you can tell the audiences what the process is, right, in the very simplistic form, right, who acts first, what is the kind of team which collaborates, how do we go about it?
So I think, thanks for the question. For the communications team, it has a very important role now when, especially, we are kind of managing the trust that an organization has towards the stakeholders. So when a crisis happens, the first thing, when we are talking in the context of synthetic and deep fakes, so most important is to first detect how do you do. And there are tools available. I mean, when for example, you have, let's say Meltwater, Talkwalker, you have lots of tools which are available, which will show you that something is trending, right? Like you can get that alert, so you know there is a problem or a crisis in a certain scenario. We're talking about a crisis scenario. So then what you do, as he's rightly saying, Ajay is saying, so you first detect it, then you verify, right? You need to verify whether what is happening is actually a deep fake. And for that, again, you do have cybersecurity experts, you have AI tools. In a way, it's ironic actually, even to detect AI, you will have to use AI tools as well. But I think when we are detecting all of this, the human judgment is very important. There's no taking away from that. And then, when you have identified the problem, that's the time when you actually come together. And your question was, who are the people who actually come together? So you will obviously get your legal experts. You will get, the comms team is very important. You will bring in your leadership. you have a statement which you then are ready to go out with, and then you actually respond. So even if it means like if there is an account you need to take down, then you'll have to reach out to, let's say, if it's Meta, Twitter, whatever, you'll have to reach them to take that down. You'll have to have your statement ready and go out with that through trusted channels. And I think most important is also to have your own earned media channel where you will kind of go out with the statement. So if the essence of all of this I'm trying to say, even though I've broken it down for you, is that you don't have much time. You just need to respond very, very quickly to the situation before it becomes like a wildfire. So that would be my kind of response to you.
Got it. So respond quickly. That brings me to the next question, right? And I'll come to Sanjeev on this one. You handle a mass market brand. In the age of viral misinformation, where you have to respond quickly, is it better first to wait, conduct research, do assessment, or straight away go and give a public statement? How is that like?
Thank you. I think it's not just, what I'm going to say is not just relevant for a mass brand, it could be for a niche brand as well. The fact is, I believe it needs to be a balanced approach. You need to balance speed with accuracy. So when a crisis occurs, and I think it happens willy-nilly whenever it happens, the biggest thing is to respond. Holding back itself is doing a disservice to the concern. So in a way, you would say the fire will not spread, but lo and behold, the whole building may just come down. You don't know. So response is good. Accuracy, yes, is required. I'm not saying it is not required. Fact-finding, researching, deep analysis can be done. What you need is a holding statement to be ready with you whenever something goes wrong. Take out the holding statement. Then get to the facts. Once you have the facts and corrections done, be open, be transparent, come to the public and announce it. So in essence, for paucity of time, I think in my point of view, it should be no procrastination for sure. No procrastination at all. Get your, bite size, your responses ready, your holding statements ready that you can take out either to the public or the court or wherever is required, but you need to have that.
Great. So no procrastination.
Be agile.
Yeah. But in your experience, have you ever encountered a brand faltering, procrastinating, or waiting around? Is there an example that comes to mind?
You're putting me into. I don't want to.
Whatever you can share. Whatever you can share.
Okay. Let me give you a brand which I recall, and it's a little in the past. I think it's, if I'm not wrong, it's about 2021. This is Kellogg's, which happened in the US. They had a labor unrest. The management there, whatever reason, chose not to speak about it for a few days. This is a very nice case study that I had come across in one of the programs that was happening, and it stuck to me. So I'm sharing with you that in that case, had they responded, Kellogg's would not have lost the market share they did, because it spread from the labor union to the public, and public then chose to say hashtag boycott Kellogg's. Now that is something you don't want to happen to your brand.
Sure.
So had they responded, had they come out openly and said, yes, we're taking care of the wage issues, we will sort it out. And it got sorted. It got sorted in about 3 months' time. But the damage had been done.
Okay. All right. Coming to you, Jagrati now. It is, one needs to do research, right? But what is the time frame like before doing research and going out and issuing a public statement? In your experience, what should one do?
Okay, as much as we would like to say this is just in the textbook, it has actually happened in one of my previous MNC experience that a CEO was cloned and people started getting a call even at night saying that, hey, I am so and so and let's contribute money, etc. It was so much unexpected because a big MNC and you don't expect that, oh, it will be so close at home. Speaking from that little experience, I feel speed definitely. And for me, I would say speed and accuracy has to be sequenced rather than what should be first or second. And definitely answer immediately. I would say respond in a few minutes, verify, take your time, reply in a few hours, and make sure that your first statement is not the last statement. It's something I have learned from the little experience that I just spoke about.
Sure. Okay, so statement भी आ गया है. अब let's come to you now, Deepa. The internal stakeholders, right? You've got to get them all on board within the organization itself. Also, making sure that everyone is talking about that one cardinal truth. What is your experience like? How do you get your partners to advocate for you, your employees, your internal stakeholders? How do you do that?
So I'm going to answer this question in two parts. One is getting the internal stakeholders aligned. The first reaction after any crisis is denial. Right. So the typical process of denial, bargaining, finally coming to acceptance takes a long time. I think we need to crunch up the time nowadays. So I think we need to start with the fact that this is where you are. There is no point in trying to figure out why you are there or who put you there. This is where you are, and this is how you need to step up and do what you have to do. The second point that I would like to make is we often spend a lot of time creating trust during war times. But I think trust needs to be built during peace times, whether it's internal, whether it is external. I don't think we spend enough time during peacetime because we are probably, especially the function that I represent is probably in a recovery mode. We are always fighting fire. But if we can somehow align our teams and our internal stakeholders to focus on how to build that whole process in the peacetime, it is better. And I'll give you an example. When I used to work with HUL, we actually had an internal ambassador program. So there was a complete employee ambassador program that needed you to be signing up for it, opting in. There used to be regular meetings. There used to be a regular process that you had to follow. So if you are opted into that program, then you are going to be given enough information for you to be able to share it on any platform that you wish to. And it was a complete process that was not only there for war times. It was there during the entire time. And it had actually paid rich dividends for us. So during the time when things were falling apart, there were enough voices which had built credibility over some time to be also heard, whether it was in a personal conversation or whether it was on Twitter or any other places. Of course, there were guardrails that you couldn't do certain things which had to be directed to the communications partner, and they would take it up with either the agency support or the alignment with the CEO or whatever the case may be. But I think that creation of that possibility is something that we need to spend some time and think about.
Great.
Also, just want to add,
Sure.
taking the cue from reputation management, I think the ball drops between the speed and accuracy. So as much as we want to build reputation, as she rightly said, through your lifetime, not through crisis, but also during the speed and accuracy.
Great, great. Also, you mentioned peacetime, right? I'll come to Ajay now. Yours is an industry where peacetime is imperative. You can't get into wartime because it directly correlates to human trust. How does internal alignment have within your industry, so to say, or your line of work?
I think everybody has to realize that the best brand ambassador what an organization has are the employees, which most of the organization neglect. And they become the last people to know about a factor, what is the problem, what is the situation. If an employee is well informed, if some crisis there or something is happening in the organization, if an employee is informed, he'll be the best brand ambassador for you because there should not be any inconsistency in your communication. So if your employee is informed, the messages are clear, the management is clear, so I don't think so any kind of crisis can take any kind of a negative direction. People are aware, this is the problem, this is what has happened, that's a corrective action, whatever an organization has done. Because in healthcare, nurses are there who are talking to the patients are talking to the attendants are talking to the families, and doctors are basically busy with their work, they don't know what actually is happening because they don't get time to read their mails also. But how do you make sure they are informed? So whenever, because every day Fortis touch around 35 lakh annually, people are coming to Fortis for treatment. And if something like that happens, so definitely it's going to impact an organization and definitely the business for sure. So consistent and making sure that everybody is aware what was the key crisis, what is the response from the management, what actually happened. The transparency and the trust is going to build on that only. So that is key and very important.
Sure, sure. Please go ahead.
If we're talking about peace and we're talking about trust, coming from a services background, what comes to my mind is a statement I used to hear from my dad very often. It says, if you sweat in peace, you don't bleed in the war. So if the employees are educated, they have the information coming in on a right flow, not coming at the last minute. You know, even in a panel discussion, if you give me the questions at the last minute, maybe a couple of us would fumble.
Yeah.
That's the truth, honestly. I would for sure. But if you know it in advance, we rehearse, we know it, it comes out naturally. So,
I think I just wanted to add one minute. I just taking off from where he just left is that employees should be the first set of people who should hear the truth, not your media. So if you co-opt them into the process of communication, then I think a lot of things get plugged. Because when I used to work in aviation, the biggest leak used to happen from the operating team. I will not tell which one, but everything was leaked through the operating team because they didn't have enough information and have enough training. What should be said and what shouldn't be said. So I think that just helps if you can just get the employees on board first.
Sure, sure.
And in today's time, we all know that we all go and blabber on social media. So much before my spokesperson is out there, social media has already captured it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Having some social media guardrails and making that familiar as a part of your onboarding deck is also important.
Sure. Yeah, please go ahead.
I know. So I know your question is going to be, but I must say one thing. If I sum up, I think there is a need to have a playbook. So you actually, the points that you were making, Deepa, about having a social media policy, keeping the employees engaged, involved, and aware. I think all of that would happen if you already know. It's not going to be just a reactive case when there is a crisis. You need to be proactive, and for proactive management, all the points that you guys are making
Yeah.
about, keeping the employees aware, kind of having a bit of a playbook if a crisis breaks out, what are the things you need to do? I think that will help us manage the crisis better. Yeah.
Great, great.
If you wanted to ask me anything else, then
I was about to come to you. Yeah, absolutely. We
The
have
po-
time.
But
So,
the playbook has changed now. So many things are happening, so many platforms, you don't know what to and how to take it forward.
no, but some basic,
Yeah,
basic guidelines.
that has been there for
like,
sure.
Like
for
the
sure.
guardrails she's talking about, those are very important.
A live document.
Yeah.
so I think internal stakeholders are now aligned. Let's move on to our next question. So AI is being thrown around a lot, right? The buzzwords are there. There are solutions with that there. Ruchika, what do you think are some AI-powered solutions which are absolutely imperative? One, and are also used in real life, in either countering a narrative or making sure that your teams are not dropping the ball. What are some real tools which a communication team uses?
So I think, as in my earlier answer, I had alluded to AI tools. So both when you are kind of detecting the spikes, when you understand that there is a crisis which you need to handle. So there are tools, and I named some of them. And likewise, when you are actually trying to identify that there is this is a deep fake or this is synthetic media, there are tools which are available which you can use to identify that this is. So at both the stages, you need to be able to leverage the AI tools and then use your human judgment to be able to figure out the rest of it. How do you respond? You do your authentication, you do your, you create your statement, and then you're ready to go out. So definitely, as I said, AI tools are now very, very much available. So both from a point of view for people who have a malafide, intention, and also for people who want to kind of solve a particular problem of, kind of trying to counter them. Because now with all Gen AI and availability of tools, anything is possible. So the intent has to be managed very well, I would say. And then for companies, and like we were talking about employees earlier, AI now, companies are spending a lot of time making employees aware about AI and what are the various tools you can use for different purposes. So that awareness level is very important as well, I would say. Yeah.
Sure. The final question I think goes out to all the panelists now. And I'll start from you, Sanjeev. What do you think a new age communication team has to have Also, what are the kind of capabilities and responsibilities that today's communication leaders must develop, non-negotiables?
See, before I really come to your question and answer it, I think the key thing today is the fact that I think the biggest asset for a brand today is actually trust and reputation. And if you keep that safe, you keep that alive, you got a thing winning on a hand. And when does it happen? It happens mostly, this trust and reputation is put to test mostly during crisis. It's only during the crisis, if you have your clarity of thought and you've got your statements ready, like I said, you have a speed of response. And more importantly, you show your integrity behind the cause or the concern and come out clear, straightforward. I think your brand is a winner. And not just a survivor, I would say a winner. In this context, I think today our role as communicators, all of us, and most of the people sitting in the audience also would be on the communication side. I think we've been told our role is storytelling. Yeah, that's a fact. But in the world of AI, which is, we've been talking about war, peace, trust, a lot of things. What comes up interestingly is that if I give an analogy, I would say we need to be more like guardians of trust. That should be the barometer that we should be using. We should be taking it ahead, making it our role, saying that we got to, take care of the trust in a large way. All the points said by the wise panel out here would actually become a KRA part of it.
Sure.
That's my 2 bit.
All right. Deepa, your thoughts? What are the capabilities that are non-negotiable?
So I think I agree with everything he said, but I feel that we are storytellers and we have to have a counter narrative to whatever is being shared online. And I feel that we need to have a content which is going to be much more capable, convincing, attractive than the condition itself. And I'll give you an example. The recent Iran war, there were two sets of conversation that was happening. One that was coming directly from the White House, and one was coming from an unknown entity called Explosive Media. Explosive Media was putting out Legofication, a Legofied version of the Iran war. They use the Lego characters to tell the story, the alternate story of the Iran war. Extremely engaging, extremely entertaining, has been shared widely. Should that be a Washington Post article? Possible. But do you and I and the people in the room actually sit and read a WAPO article? No. But the doom scrolling that we do, we will also have seen that one video called Loser. Right? If you haven't, look it up. And I feel that in our ability to present the counter narrative, we have to adapt new tools for storytelling. Tools that are going to be engaging, that are going to have the ability for virality, and that is going to capture our imagination enough for me to share it with you and you to share it with 5 other people. I think that's where I will.
Sure. Okay. Ajay, I know.
Sanjeev also talked about storytelling from corporate communicators. So I'll tell you, so I'll just talk about this and say to a lot of people who try and get to Copcom and learn more about it. Basically, like if you see the Hindi film industry, you've got different directors. Sanjay Leela Bhansali hai. Yeah, you have Ram Gopal Verma is there. Other directors are there now. So most of them have the same script of a film like Karan Johar and all. They have the same script, but how you're able to present it to your audience? How do you connect with your audience? That is important. You will have the same story, maybe the same thing has been done by 10 different people. But how do you connect with the audience, maybe with the masses, with the media, the most important, because they're going to carry out your story. So that is your job, to ensure that you're able to connect, you have to identify who your audience is, what's going to be the impact, and how you're going to evaluate the impact for the organization. So that is something key which everybody should learn.
Great, great. Okay, Jagruti, I have a different question for you now. It's an imaginary question, it's a made-up question, but suppose you have one WhatsApp message to send to every employee tonight and prepare them for a deep fake crisis tomorrow. Okay, you can't send a policy document, you can't send a presentation. What would that message say?
Okay, firstly, I think it's a good news because you're giving me a heads up. Because crisis often comes unannounced, right? And we just so love it. Okay, I think the WhatsApp, and I will assume I'm the CEO and I'm sending a message to all my employees. Thank you for 2 minutes. Yeah, so it would be something like, hey, you shouldn't be, okay, I will have to make it witty later, but something like, hey, I am so and so, and you may not always hear from me at 11 or 3 a.m. So you have to verify, pause, verify, and then respond. And I would say something to the effect of like, boss, let me call you back, something like that. I really want the employees to have that non-fear in saying that, okay, this doesn't sound okay, so maybe I want to call you back. And I know I'm going to speak a little extra because I took a cue from what was
Sure.
discussing. So going back, this resonated a lot actually, because 20 years ago when we started, I mean, I started my career 20 years ago, we were told that you are a storyteller. And moved through the industries, it remained the same, that you are building the narrative. And today it is more of trust, engineering, and reputation building. So that has to somewhere follow in my message. And hopefully that's not the first and the last message. So definitely summing this up, employees need to know and need to be aware. And last but not the least, probably also add a pointer saying that if you feel anything is suspicious, screenshot it and send it to a particular ID or a number, rather than sending it across and making noise out of it. So I think having a central power or central communication to hold it is important. And yeah.
Great, great. Please.
I will actually not send out any message. Because why will I want 5,000, 10,000 employees waking up in a state of panic? I don't want to panic them. I will use that time to create a repository of answers and information, and ensure that I can digitize that and send them as a link if things blow out of proportion. Because there is, we often see, and I'll give you an example. About 2-3 years ago, there was this huge controversy against a health food drink. I will not mention the name. And I used to work in the same industry. And there was huge amount of tamasha online. And then we were very worried because we were the market leader. What did we do? We did a research. And okay, let me just tell you, the name of the brand was Bonvita, and I was working with Horlicks. Okay, explains things for everybody. Now the thing is, when we did the research, and I was with HUL at that time, we found that consumers knew nothing about it. When we asked them about an issue in the food space, they went back to Maggie. You know why? Because Maggie was off the shelf, because the government came in and removed it from the shelf. So unless something like that happens, why am I going to create a panic and spread the news to 5,000, 10,000 people and wait for them to create more panic going forward? So agree to disagree.
All right. I think our time's up. But when I was thinking about this WhatsApp question and I was researching, I know what Trump would say. With WhatsApp, Trump would WhatsApp, deny, 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 and claim victory in the end. So yeah, with that we wrap this up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, we are good. Thanks.